gradualities.
With that, I would like to thank Dr. Satoru Nagao for joining us today from Tokyo and sharing that insight. Thank you very much. Now we move on to Europe. Bulgaria is set to adopt the euro today at midnight, becoming the 21st member of the Eurozone. Nearly 20 years after joining the European Union, the national lev in use since the late 19th century is being phased out as the country enters the new year with a historic currency shift. It has also been said that the euro will strengthen the economy, deepen ties with the West, and limit Russian influence. According to the reports, Bulgaria is ending the year with strong growth above 3% and inflation around 3.6%. However, the transition has been met with public concern. Nearly half of Bulgarians are opposing to adopting the euro. Amid fears of higher prices, food costs have already risen, protests have been held, and queues for euros have been seen in Sofia. Banks have warned of temporary payment disruptions, while authorities insist short-term challenges will give way to long-term economic gains. Now for this discussion, we welcome Ms. Alison Mutler. She's a former AP Bureau Chief in Romania, joins us live from Bucharest. Thank you very much, Ms. Mutler, for joining us once again. Good to see you. Now thank you. Now looking at this, why are people in Bulgaria, hesitant of changing their currency from their currency to euro?
Well, in the European Union, Bulgaria is one of the poorer countries. The wages are lower. And I think there's fear that joining the Eurozone, I think there's two things. I think there's an economic fear that the prices will shoot up, they'll rise, and they will. That's historically been shown to be true in other countries. But I think amongst some older people, there's an idea that we're going to lose our national identity. In Bulgaria's history, they've only ever had, this is the second currency they've ever had. They've had the leva, which is what they have now, and now they're moving to the euro. So I think it's a mixture of the two, but I think the main concern for people is an economic uncertainty. They're worried that their pensions will fall, the prices will rise. And, some people at the beginning are resistant to change. And as authorities have said, there will be some natural disruptions at the beginning, but in the long term, it will be good. It's a small country, Bulgaria. It's 6.4 million people, so it's not a huge country in terms of population. But I think it's often the older people, and of course there is Russian disinformation about, Europe is about to collapse. But I think the main concern is the economic ones, not the idea that they're losing their their former national currency.
Thank you for highlighting that. And, building on the Russia factor here, how could this euro adoption influence Bulgaria's leverage in reducing Russian economic, also political influence?
Well, by aligning themselves to the Eurozone, becoming, as you said earlier, the 21st country, Bulgaria has a place at the table. It has a say in interest rates, and it also is more harmonious. It can Bulgarians can travel to all the other 20 countries with their own currency, as can Europeans travel to Bulgaria and use euros rather than wondering what currency do they use in Bulgaria. So it does tie it more firmly to the European family of nations. Most of the EU members, apart from a few, including Romania, where I live, are part of the Eurozone, and this makes Bulgaria closer to that group. And I think it's actually the first Christian Orthodox country to join it. So every country which uses the euro, it's not just a euro. They have their own personal they have their own personal emblem on it, and they're going to be putting two Bulgarian saints. So even though it is the euro, it still has a national flavor, a national identity. And I think that is important for people in every country, that they're not just part of a big pot.
Yes, thank you for highlighting that. I didn't know that. I'll check it. Thank you. And what are the potential domestic and also political consequences of, although maybe not many, but the public opposition, as you mentioned earlier, maybe some older generation are hesitant because of, their identity might be tied to the currency and the uncertainty that this disruption or this currency transition might bring?
I mean, there have been protests last year. I mean, Bulgaria has kept delaying implementing the euro, and that was for purely economic reasons. There are, I think, five. I don't want to get too technical, but there's five what they call convergence points that a country has to meet in order to join the eurozone and use the euro. And one of them is the key one is inflation, and inflation in Bulgaria is not that high. It's gone down to 2.8%, I think, whereas a few years ago it was above 10%. So they have been quite careful with the economy. I think there may be protests at the beginning, but I imagine people will gradually get used to having the euro and they will die down. But I also think that Russia will probably try and stoke unrest and divisions in Bulgarian society over this, because it's another sign that Europe is united, that it's a rich club, which is what Russia dislikes. And the thing with Bulgaria is their language is quite close to the Russian, and they have historic, obviously, and political links, or they did have, to Russia before the revolution. So I think there will continue to be some, some people be dissatisfied, but I think the protests will die down as people get used to having the using the euro, and also seeing their saints on every coin they spend.
Behind that. Thank you very much, Ms. Modler, for sharing that. Please stay with us as we come back to you. Now we focus on to North America. The